Leeuwkop Correctional Centre official was found dead at the Johannesburg facility on Tuesday night. The body of the female official was discovered on the floor in the Medium A area, which is used as a COVID-19 isolation site. The Department of Correctional Services has launched an investigation into the cause of the death. For more on this, I'm joined now by Correctional Services spokesperson Singabakho Nxumalo. Zwita, good evening and thank you very much for your time. A painfully disturbing incident that took place there at the Leeuwkop Centre. Just as far as security protocol in place, I mean, were there breaches here? Were the processes not correctly followed as far as, for example, the warders checking in and those who are supposed to be checking in on her and so on and so forth?
Good evening and thank you for having us. Life has been lost, and as a department we are deeply saddened by this incident. Hence we had to initiate an investigation and also open a case with the SAPS. I think we owe it to the family of the deceased to fully explain what happened there. We need to give an account to our officials what happened there and also to ourselves. So the investigation will assist us so that we know exactly what transpired there, the circumstances leading to this official losing her life. So as a department, we've said, let us cordon that particular area, at least for now, launch a preliminary investigation so that out of that, a much full-scale, investigation, and also the one by the SAPS will assist us so that we know exactly even the cause of death, because as a department, it's something that really took us by surprise, and we are still shocked, and even more so, the family of the deceased, and no family must be subjected to this, where, a member leaves in the morning for work, a person, doesn't come back home, even worse, you don't even know what happened to that person. The next message that you get is that the person is no more. So as a department, we are really broken by this.
How could it have taken so long before that body was discovered? In fact, it had to take the husband calling in to check in on her whereabouts that the authorities were alerted. That's one. But the other question, this cordon off area, is it without the security monitoring systems that are in place, one would assume, at a correctional facility?
These are all statements flying around that this is what happened, others are saying this, and it's unsubstantiated. Hence, we've said, let us do an investigation so that we know exactly. The incident was reported to us last evening. Hence, then we needed to move into that space, as a matter of urgency. And this is at Medium A Leeuwkop. There's a section there that we use for isolation purposes for COVID-19, but there are no inmates there. Hence, then it has, we really need to establish, was she alone there? Who else may have gained access there? When the body was discovered, were those offices locked? All those details, we need them so that we know exactly of what is it that we are dealing with here. Hence, we've also said the SAPS investigation will also assist in terms to bring other details to this so that should be anyone be involved in this thing, we're able to get that person, to book. As a department, we're taking this incident quite seriously because no official must lose his or her life in this particular manner.
But what is clear, though, here, Zwita, is that there was breach of security. I mean, that is something that you cannot deny in any form, even without the investigation. The fact that this incident happened within the correctional facility itself means the security was breached in some way.
To find a person dead in a correctional facility is a serious matter. It then says, indeed, security was breached. But then now you need to check how was it breached and who was responsible for that in terms of breaching that, but also you also have to look at the defense mechanism to say, was this official alone there? How is it possible? Because in our practice, no official should report to be in a particular area alone, whether it's a male or a female. It is never permitted. Hence, a single official can never go into a section and open for inmates all by himself or herself. So these are all issues that must be investigated so that we are able to establish what really happened there, because our policies are very clear in terms of, locking up, unlocking, officials, accessing their offices, and also when they call the roles and responsibilities of supervisors, unit managers. All these issues will be brought to the fore so that we know exactly what happened there. Yeah. And if we find that, there are certain measures which were not followed, then there must be action taken against those people.
What do you make of the call by the union for the head of the prison to be fired?
I think for now, we want to give, much respect to the family of the deceased, our officials, and, leave that space open, not flood it with unsubstantiated statements where you've got no proof whatsoever, and you start living, this must happen, this must not happen. Let us run with this investigation to the fullest. And where we feel that for us to investigate properly, certain people must be removed from that space, that we can do. But for now, it's for us to say, let us do this in a responsible manner so that we don't breach even our own practices, because that will also compromise the objective that we're trying to achieve, the establishing what really happened here. So as a department, we want to do this in a responsible manner. We are not in a juncture where we want to grab media headlines and gain some prominence, take whatever that we get, in the end, say this is what we think happened. We're a responsible institution. Let's gather facts. Let's speak on what we have established as facts, so that we know exactly what is that we're dealing. So as a department, we refuse to be dragged to all other statements that we see flying in the air.
Is the security manager at Leeuwkop still on his job or her job?
Today, there was a team dispatched there. The regional office is there, and also head office officials are there to really look into say what happened there and push the criminal investigation with necessary speed. Out of that criminal investigation, then they will be in a position to say, for us to do this work properly, perhaps certain people must be moved out of the facility, or if they are there, they will not tamper with that particular investigation. Yeah. So for now, criminal investigation doesn't even take about 3 or 5 days. It takes about a day or two, maximum 3 days. Then you are sure your scoping and who needs to be in that particular space.
So in a day or two, you will have to have at least the basic answer if the security manager has some information, and what information is that, what processes did the security manager put in place?
It's not about the security manager for us. It's about the institution. It's not just about security manager. To run a correctional facility, there's quite a number of officials involved. And even in a unit, there is a hierarchy there, different responsibilities. Hence, then for us now what is key is to establish what happened there. Then after that, we're able to say, okay, for this to happen, it will mean that perhaps certain things were not done appropriately. Okay, who are those people who did not, do their job, according to our policies and procedures? Right. And what action do we then need to take, against those people? So it is important that we do this in the manner that is prescribed so that it doesn't work against the objective that we're trying to achieve.
Singabakho Nxumalo, I appreciate your time speaking on behalf of the Department of Correctional Services. And of course, we get reaction as well tonight from POP crew. Richard Mambolo is joining me now to give us their reaction. Richard, good evening and thank you very much for your time. You hear that the spokesperson for the department saying they are prioritizing investigations, preliminary investigations, establishing what actually happens here before they take any concrete action. They don't want to jump the gun because many people are involved in this process, so they don't want to point fingers at anyone at this stage.
No, most definitely. I think just to make a point about what Singabakho just raised now, it's quite demeaning that the department would say that they are making investigations over matters that have obviously been there for quite some time. I think the conditions that members of the DCS find themselves working under is something that has been widely covered for a very long time. And of course, as a union, we have been raising such matters. So according to us, such incidents can perhaps happen on a regular basis and nothing has been done about it. I mean, the fact that the female officer took about 13 hours to be discovered says a lot, because within the policies that Singabakho speaks about, there are daily registers which are signed on an hourly basis, on a daily basis, reporting on the incidents or non-incidents of what goes on between, all the movements that go on within our correctional centers. And it could have at least taken at most an hour to discover that something is amiss, really. They should have discovered within an hour's period that something is wrong. But that has not happened, because it's what is commonly happening within correctional centers.
What do you mean what is commonly happening? Are you talking flouting of policies and processes?
Most definitely, there's been a lot of flouting of policies, and I think one of the measures that have been used, which we get from different members, is that in most instances, when members refuse to carry out those illegal instructions, they are either threatened of subordination, or some of them even get to a point where they lose their jobs. So that has been a common trend within the department. So some of these challenges that Singabakho says are being investigated are things that are well known within and well documented within the DCS. Those are challenges that members face. I was making a point that on an hourly basis, at every department, from the time a person enters the gate of the department, of the correctional center, there is what you call daily registers, which document on an hourly basis the movements thereof and where a person is working. Even if a correctional office is working at a different unit and goes to another different unit, they have to obviously sign those documents. And on an hourly basis, those documents are obviously checked by responsible seniors in ensuring that everything is going according to plan. So it should have been known way earlier that there's something amiss in this regard.
Yeah.
That is what the department did not do. So we're quite worried that, and of course, the other fact is, why was she working alone in that section? You know, normally under the policies that Singabakho speaks about as well, you're supposed to have at least a male officer who obviously accompanies the female, especially in the correctional centers that are hosting male offenders. So all those aspects were not considered at this time.
So would you agree that the call for suspensions is premature at this stage, considering that all these questions that you're raising are the same questions that the department is investigating?
Look, we think it should be immediate. The suspensions should be immediate, because those are the actual people who are directly responsible for ensuring the safety of both correctional officials and, of course, inmates. I think there was supposed to be a section head there, head of security. They were supposed to have obviously been within that same vicinity in determining what definitely goes on or does not go on within those specific areas. So none of them were there for 13 hours that it took for the female official to be located. That says a lot about the normal processes and the following of procedures that are stipulated within the policy of the Department of Correctional Services.
Richard Mambolo speaking for Pop Crew tonight on that incident, dreadful incident indeed, unfortunate incident of the passing of a warden official at the Leeuwkop Correctional Centre. We'll get, of course, more details as that becomes available. Singabakho Nxumalo promising that the interim investigation will reveal more details, at least in the next 24 hours or so. Stay with